Alright, inner tubes, here we go. KTM Super Adventure S. We are in beautiful Niagara wine country here. And this thing is set on street because it is very cold today. When you want it, it'll go. Yeah, it gets up and goes, no problem. So, I'm going to review this bike for you guys today. We're going into the wind here. It's a very cold day. I just rode here for an hour and a half on my Gucci. And I was frozen when I got here, but the sacrifices I make for you guys. So, full disclosure, I also recently rode the 1290 Super Adventure R, the off-road version of this bike with the 21-inch front wheel and the knobbies. And I lost that footage. So, unfortunately, I won't be able to bring you that ride, but what I can do is I can give you guys my impression and a comparison of these two bikes head to head, because that one is still fresh in my memory. Wow, there's really no engine braking on this bike. That's my impression of the other one. First of all, I feel like I'm looking at an iPad here in front of me. But second of all, this thing gets up and goes. This is so ridiculously, brutally fast. I mean, and it's smooth, very smooth. You know, when I ride my Gucci, when I'm at a stoplight, the mirrors are completely useless. Just vibrating like crazy. 6th gear, roll on, no problem. So like I said, when I ride my Gucci, the mirrors are shaking like crazy at a stop and shaking mildly at speed. But on this bike, the mirrors are perfectly still. There is no blurring or shaking to them whatsoever. What a crosswind we have today. It's coming from the left, it's just blasting us. Almost blew me off the road just now. And to think I rode here in this, the temperature is, well, it's below freezing. You can see the ice warning displaying on the dash at the bottom. And the bike is looking out for me. Traction control, everything ABS engaged. Let's just have some fun. Wow, this bike, even in street mode, the acceleration is instant and brutal. Now my Gucci has 105 horsepower. This thing's got 160 and you can feel the difference. I like being in 4th gear just so I can do this. I mean, this thing should be able to wheelie in 3rd gear. That's how brutal this thing is. Let's pop it in 6th and smooth it out. Okay, it is very windy. The weather protection is not as good as on my Gucci, but better than on the Adventure R. The Adventure R comes with a lower windshield, presumably so you can see rough terrain coming. That bike's got a 21-inch front wheel and knobbies. This thing has street tires and a 19-inch front wheel. I have to say the Adventure R does not feel bad on the street, but this S does feel a little bit better. You can kind of feel the knobbies on the Adventure R. You can feel a little bit of vibration. This bike, smooth. Turning right here. Gonna go with the wind, which is nice to know. We're right in the open here, and the wind is crazy. There are going to be some narrow roads. You're going to see some vineyards around here, Ontario wine country. It's a nice little bonus. I wish it was sunny. Revved it out to the speed limiter, or the rev limiter. The iPad turned red on me. Holds the line very nicely, I have to say. We're riding staggered, but the lane is narrow. The windshield is adequate. Mind you, I'm spoiled by my giant barn door windshield on my Guzzi. If I was to buy this bike, I might go for a slightly taller one. There's a little bit of buffeting around the helmet. You can hear the wind probably in the camera. On the mic. Car snakes, rough roads, can't even feel them. The suspension is smooth as butter. And this bike does not, there's nothing, those tar snakes are not upsetting the handling at all. It tracks perfectly straight. And it feels light. A lot lighter than my Guzzi. Feels very light and sprightly. A lot lighter than a bike this size has any right to be. And that's why I love you, KTM. Just next time put heated grips on. Because it is freezing temperature right now. And I gotta tell you, I could use some heated grips. Yeah, rough roads, no problem. That's what this bike is built for. The pavement is terrible here. If I was on a sport bike right now, guys, I tell you, I'd be feeling this, but on this bike, there is not even one iota of discomfort on this road. And I'm on the bad side of the lane. We're in 5th gear, just cruising along. I'll keep it in 5th because I like doing speeding up. Maybe I'll even put it in 4th here. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I like. Woo! I bet you this thing on a road like this would absolutely spank a sport bike. Because that sport bike rider would be clinging and clanking over the bumps, and you'd just be sailing over them smooth. I look like a bit of an amateur here, on and off the throttle, but it's just because I'm acting like a fool, enjoying myself. These are beautiful roads. I've raced my bicycle through here. And I really love these roads, I have to say. My last test ride that I also did on the KTMs was through Oshawa in the city. And this is much nicer, let me tell you. The handguards here are pretty good. They keep the wind off my hands pretty well. They look smaller than the ones on my Guzzi, but they work very well. No heated grips, but my hands are still reasonably okay. Now we're still at the beginning of the ride. So how does this compare to the R? Well, the R, you can kind of feel the knobbies. Better check here. You can kind of feel the knobbies, especially in the turns. The R handles turns very well. Don't get me wrong, guys. Are we turning here? What are we doing? I guess we're going straight. So as I said, you can pretty much hammer the R in the turns almost as much as you hammer this bike. But this one, it feels smoother. Fun times. I'll just keep it in fourth. I just like having all this power on tap. Like, watch this. Yeah, you know what? You forget the cold. You forget the discomfort. When you're on this thing, it's just so much fun. Woo! I have to say, my license is in enough danger on a 105 horsepower bike. On this thing, oh man. When KTM says ready to race, they ain't kidding. Even their flagship, quote unquote, old man's touring bike is still pretty much ready for the Dakar. Now, let's just think about who would buy this bike, especially versus the R version. So, if you've got a choice and you can only have one, and you are going to buy a KTM Adventure, and you have to decide between the S and the R. The R is fine on the street. Oh, nice road. I like this. The R is fine on the street. The knobbies perform pretty well. But you still feel their knobbies, and quite frankly, they will wear out faster than road bias tires. So, if you're mostly gonna ride on the street, maybe with a few gravel roads here and there, yeah, beautiful ride. Just keep it in fourth and let the bike do the rest. As I was saying, this is perfectly capable of doing gravel roads. I wouldn't trail ride on this thing, but gravel roads and these roads, that's what this bike is made for. Now, if you're going to take on anything rougher than a gravel road or maybe a fire road, and if you're going to spend a significant amount of time on roads like that, then I would take the R. The R, this is the thing though, who buys a super expensive 1300cc almost bike with 160 horsepower to do trails on? I mean, if you're gonna get that, if most of your riding is off pavement, then what you really want is the Adventure 790R. That one's better than the 1290R for serious off-road stuff. So realistically speaking, for probably 90%, 95% of the riders who will buy this bike, this is the one you should be on rather than the R. You should get the S. It's just better on the pavement, and it doesn't give up much off of pavement. Now, if image is part of the deal, and you want to look like a badass with the knobby tires and the 21-inch front wheel, I gotta say, the R looks better than this one. This is the one if you're doing mostly regular type of riding. This is the one most people should be getting. I know lots of people get the R, probably for the image, but realistically speaking, it's this one you should have your eye on. So, would I get this bike? Oh, hell yeah, I would. This is the only bike 99% of motorcycle riders will ever need. You want a sport ride? Check. You want a tour? Check. You want to just cruise easy in 6th gear at 70 kilometers an hour? Yep, it's doing that. And here we are back at Claire's Cycle and Sports in Fenwick, Ontario, just outside of Pelham. The same owner also owns a Harley dealership around here, if you're into that. But that is, I guess they will take care of all your motorcycle needs. So, wrap up. KTM Super Adventure 1290S. Great bike. It's both the S and the R, actually. I'll talk about both of them because I've ridden both of them and I can compare them. They're both great bikes. The 1290 is a bike for the person who wants to go over the top. And it's ridiculously powerful, ridiculously everything. You know, if I pop down to 4th gear here on this Guzzi and open up the throttle, I get some decent acceleration. On the 1290, it's like race car acceleration. I can't say it's too much because it is addictive and thrilling and amazing that you can have vehicles like that for sale to regular guys like me. But I have to say, I would be tempted to just be on it the whole time I own that bike. I don't know if I'd ever relax. I think I'd lose my, if I didn't lose my license, I would just eventually go crazy on that bike. So it sounds like I'm not recommending it, but on the contrary, I am super recommending that bike. Guys, that bike is just ridiculously good.